Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Matt DeLockery. Well, after a several-year break, we are finally coming back to and finishing the letter to the Colossians. If you're a non-Christian who's watching this, normally I would tell you, it's like, hey, we're about to be in for some Bible study. You may want to just check out and come back later. And all of the previous sections on Colossians that I've done, those are just straight-up Bible study. You might not be interested in those. If you want to do some Bible study, it's there. If not, just skip them. This one, though, is a bit different because we're going to be talking Bible, but it's something you might be interested in. We're going to be talking about essentially where does Christian morality come from? And that's an interesting question because there's all sorts of stuff that we're going to cover. Like, why does Paul have all these lists of these, these do these things and don't do these things? And they seem pretty harsh. And then there's even the more difficult stuff like wives obey your husbands and slaves obey your masters. Like, what's going on, Paul? It's like, come on, this is nuts. And yeah, that's not easy to deal with. And we're going to be diving headfirst into that. So you might be interested in this section. So for the next several weeks, we're going to be going over chapter 3 through the beginning of chapter 4 in Colossians, and that's going to be the end of the letter. There's a little bit of like, hey, see you later, and tell so-and-so, what's up. There's that at the end, but we're not going to go over that. So let me quickly read the verses for this, and I'm going to explain what's on about, what Paul's on about. Paul says, "If then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on the things that are above, not on things that are on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory." Okay, so that's the beginning of chapter 3, and it sounds a little confusing, like, what's going on. So brief recap to explain what this means. Everything in what happened in the letter up till now in the next few seconds. Paul starts off with a whole bunch of theology, and he has a little intro, and he starts off with a whole bunch of theology, like this is what Christianity is all about. And then he gets into, or at least what Christian theology is all about. Then, the Colossians are dealing with some people who teach some different stuff, and so he's comparing Christianity to this other worldview that's on offer, this other way of thinking and living and doing life. And he's saying Christianity is better because these reasons. And so now in this last section, he's getting into what do you do with this? How does this play out in your everyday life? What's the cash value of all this theological, stuff that you've been saying that's really hard to understand and we don't really get? And why would I want to try to get it? So this is the how does this work in my everyday life section. And the way he starts it is by saying, seek the things above rather than the things that are on the earth. So what does that mean? Well, it's not about just ignoring the things of this world and, just hoping for that pie in the sky when you die, or going to the heavenly amusement park. That is not what this is about. What he's saying is that you need to be focused on something that's bigger than your daily life, your day-to-day mundane routine. Like, that's a necessary thing. You have to live, and you have to work, and you have to deal with house and car or kids and all of the things of life that are necessary to keep you alive. But what he's saying is like, look, this is not why you're here. It's not about having more stuff. It's not about having more toys than the person next to you, nor is it even a competition. Or about toys. It's about something more than that. Perhaps the best way to explain this actually is to give you a quote. I want to quote briefly from Robin Williams' character, John Keating, from the movie Dead Poet Society. And I'm not going to be able to say it like him. I'll do my best. He said, "Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for." And something along those lines is really what Paul is after here. He's saying, yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that you have to do that are necessary to sustain life, that are what you have to do to go from day to day to day and to make sure that there is a next day. And you have to do these things. But that's not why you're here. The big picture of Christianity is that everyone and everything in this world is sort of a mixed bag. We're all beautiful and we're all broken. We're not just one of those things, and every single one of us is a mixture. We're all beautiful in one way or another, and we're all broken in one way or another. Christianity is what God has done to fix what is broken and to make what is beautiful shine even more brightly. The way he is doing that is through Christians. He is using people who choose to follow Christ to repair what is broken in the world, not just go to church and hang out with other people who think like you, to repair what is broken in the world and to make it a more beautiful place. That's what Christianity is about. And what Paul is saying is that if you want to make progress on this goal, then you need to continually focus on this goal. It's like if you do make any goal, whether it's to lose weight or to learn how to play a musical instrument or to be kinder to people around you or whatever your goal is, you can't just start it one day and then forget about it the next day. You won't make much progress. You have to continually focus on what your goal is. Otherwise, you'll never get there. And when Paul is saying, set your mind on heavenly things, he's saying, focus on your goal. Focus on what you're trying to accomplish, on what you're trying to do, and then you'll be able to continually make more progress. So that's what this opening section of the third chapter of Colossians is about. It's about having the right focus. Paul is telling the Christians to focus on their task, which is to repair what is broken in the world and to make it a more generally beautiful place. That's our job. Focus on the goal, and then what he's going to do for the next chapter is tell us how to do that. He's going to give us concrete steps that we can take to move in that direction. Focus on the goal, and then we'll talk about how best to get there. And we're going to get into that next week.